Yes, girl. Ooh, we're live. Hello. I just want to make sure we are live on the Facebook page. Yes, we are. So this is why I love StreamYard. They just do a great job.
Fabulous.
I know. Well, okay, so let me get serious. Hi everyone, and welcome to another Soul Shift Story. I am your host, Soul Coach Michelle, and I have spiritually woke humans like you, like Bren here, struggling to stay high vibe and maintain a manifesting mindset in the face of the daily grind, and to consistently start manifesting the things, people, and life you have always wanted. So today, I have with me my client, my friend, my colleague, Bren Olson. And Bren is the founder behind Alternative, which is a holistic health and wellness marketplace. And Bren, you and I met about a year ago. But at first, I want to say, welcome, Bren. Yay!
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so excited for everyone to hear your story because people think, everything takes really hard work if you want something done. But people also hear a lot of times that it takes like decades to do something. And I am putting forth your story as the antithesis to that. So,
yep.
We met about a year ago, and there was no alternative at that point. There was no great products that I actually use myself. So I don't have somebody on here whose products I'm not using. I actually use them myself. But there was no alternative when we met. So how did you go from being on that corporate hamster wheel, or the hamster wheel in general about life, where it's kind of like, I'm just moving through it, to creating this health and wellness force of nature that is totally aligned with your purpose and drive in life in less than a year, y'all. Less than a year. It was like 8 months.
Yeah, it was fast.
Yeah.
I get it done.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So why don't you share how did this happen?
I'm very goal oriented, which is why it happened very quickly. But like you mentioned, the hamster wheel, my goals weren't quite aligned yet. I didn't know that. So luckily I met you a year ago who bluntly told me, you're not fulfilled. Yeah, I'm fine. Right. And that's kind of what started it all. You challenged me, and I love a good challenge. I'm one to say challenge accepted, and it really made me look in. So I spent probably a month or two going in and really challenging myself with that same question. And then one thing led to another. I didn't know what manifesting was. I didn't know what laws of attraction were. And so as a scientist, I started researching and proving that I wasn't fulfilled to myself. And one thing led to another. And a year later, I'm a completely different person. I was not a woke Bren at that point. I was just doing my steps to my next promotion or my next title or my next raise, completely unaware that I was completely off target. So once you challenged me with that, I went full in and jumped into the deep end. And here I am with a new business, my second business with my husband, and a trained holistic coach.
And I love how you talked about how you're a scientist. So two things. I would love for you to share with folks what kind of scientist you are. And then secondly, I am a huge promoter of the practical woo. Yes, I'm big on getting in touch with your spiritual side and having a faith-based spiritual thing that, is more, what's the word? Pantheistic or universal based. Mm-hmm. But there is practicality that's needed. You can't wander around transferring the social stuff you want to give up on one side into a new spiritual thing, like the whole magic pill, like if I take an aspirin, things happen. Yeah. And we can't transfer that into the spiritual thing, which I think a lot of people do. But I think being a scientist, like you said, when we met, that was super synergistic. And from that scientific perspective, because of the way that I approach stuff, the methodology that I use and how I teach, which is this is why I'm not tooting my horn here because I'm so great. I'm tooting my horn because it's more of it's not the way most people teach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it more palatable, I guess, as a scientist for you to lean into your spirituality? with this methodology?
Yeah. I'm a very straightforward person too, and you just kind of told it how it was, and then you kind of brought in the food side and intrigued me in a way as a scientist would start to dive into things, and led me to some resources that even intrigued my scientific mind, like E Squared. I started reading that book with my sister-in-law and kind of challenging. We each challenged each other, each chapter together, and things just opened up. And so it was a nice way for my scientific mind to ease in to the spiritual side that I had no idea that I had inside me. So it was a nice way, because if you'd have come at it another way, I think I could have got defensive and just been like, I don't know what woo-woo you are, like you're crazy. But the way you approached it, one, blunt and straightforward, but also a little challenging to a scientific mind, worked out really well for me.
Yeah. And share with folks, like, what kind of scientist are you, Bren?
So I'm a food scientist, but I work in the pet food industry, but I have a huge passion for healthy eating and holistic eating in general. But I'm 10 years in the pet food industry formulating diets for dogs and cats. So I enjoy that.
Because I also want to make sure people understand that this isn't just for people who are like, I'm going to be a tarot card reader. This is for regular people and how it can apply to you in your life. This is just your spiritual path. Just like there can be accountants who might be Christian, you can be a food scientist who is a woo-woo.
Yes.
It's all good.
Yeah. And I love the balance of that. And that's been something I kind of went, like, once I found my woo side, I was like, this is fun. I don't have to think as hard. Sometimes I just get an idea or something about an ingredient, and I kind of went completely to the other end, was like, screw science. Let's just, like, if I don't have to do all the research and the work, I've been doing it for 10, 15 years through school, 20 years. And I kind of was like, yes, I want a break. This support is great. And then I had to come back and say, okay, from my knowledge and baseline of so many years as a scientist, and then bring in intuition and guidance, that's been the perfect balance between the two, where some of the recent formulas that have launched that I have intuitively blended have been some of our top sellers, which is exciting.
And I want to say that I remember us talking about how, like, you formulated something through your intuition, and then when you, like, did all of the research, when your science side kicked in and said, I need to research this to make sure everything works right. Just to no offense, Spirit, just to double check, but everything did check out.
Yeah. There was legitimacy to the guidance. It was like, why am I feeling like I need marshmallow root or I need burdock? And I would kind of dive into some of my books, and I'm like, oh, it helps with mucous membranes or this or that. And I'm like, perfect. So I definitely went through a lot of phase of validation, because I'm going to challenge it over and over again. So that was a struggle for me of trusting myself too. And the more I trust, the stronger it gets. And it's been awesome.
Awesome. So what exactly, we met. So what made you, I love this question because I love your answer, by the way, which I know is good, but I want everyone to hear it because everybody says the same thing, which I think is hilarious. But what made you consider looking for a soul coach or a soul alignment coach when we met?
Yeah, I love this question. I laughed. I didn't know, but my soul knew. I had no idea. You weren't on my radar. I stopped by Aroma Gregory's for some essential oils, and I started looking at crystals. I like some of the bracelets, and I was on the way to the airport for my next production. I had no time for that. And I saw you, and I was oddly wanting to talk to you, and I had to ask you what the heck you were doing there and what you offered. And you mentioned angel readings, and I was like, okay, I have 15 minutes. Can we do this? They're like, right now. And so I had no idea that my soul was screaming for me to get back into alignment. I had suppressed and looked the other way and was so driven to a goal that was not aligned that you had to hit me on the side of the head to get my attention, and that it worked out perfectly. Yeah.
I think that story is so awesome. And it's funny because it's so indicative of everybody, where some people might be looking, but most everybody just kind of happens in.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was ready. But my soul knew exactly on time.
I don't want to apologize because there's some folks doing some work in the next condo over. So if we hear a little drill noise, everyone, that's what that is.
No worries.
Did not expect that. But anyways, so and it's so funny because I asked this question to folks, and and for you, it is so transformational. But what were you able to do in your life and your business or your career, after we worked together?
Yeah, that's a big question because it hit all areas of my life, career, business, personal. I'm a completely different person. So initially, it was enough challenge to get me to kind of step back and reflect internally, realign, and then start manifesting that stuff I had no idea. Even in my career as a food scientist, 10 years in, I realized I was just doing maybe whatever someone else needed or the business needed. And it was like, well, no, I love nutrition work. I love formulating. I love R&D. And I made that shift to my career. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity here and there. And I'm, focusing on that in my career versus quality or regulatory, which I'm not so excited about. And then personally, a complete lifestyle change. I mean, I was a very healthy eater. I worked out all the time, yet nothing was working. And so when I finally stepped back and went in and started aligning, everything changed. The way I treated food and ate food, I was a medicinal eater. And then I started creative cooking and loving food and not being so judgmental on myself. So my whole life just took a whirlwind and completely changed. And then business, launched another soul business. So my husband has a construction business that I support, and now he's a huge role in supporting my soul business. So we now have two soul businesses together. It's a lot of fun, but it touched every aspect of my life.
And I loved your post, by the way. I can't remember if it was on Instagram or Facebook or both, but the thing about the bagel, because I'm like,
yes, it's a struggle. And before I would be like, no bagel, no way. Like, so I was fear eating. I had no idea that even I was eating very, very healthy, very clean. It was out of fear. And the minute that I realized that, changed everything. I lost 20 pounds.
wow.
I mean, everything shifted and people started saying, wow, like you look so different. And it happened so fast that some people are like, are you okay? Are you healthy? I'm like, you know me. I'm an extreme healthy person. Sometimes too extreme.
I just ate a bagel.
Yeah. And then they get worried when I eat a bagel. Yeah. They're like, whoa, you're eating a bagel. Are you okay? I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm just going through some internal stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a big shift.
Bagel.
Yeah. And then on top of that, with the business and the career path, I found myself, I love coaching. So I finished just recently my training weeks to be a holistic coach through Radiant Coach Academy, which I love. It brought two passions together again. So now my newly found woo side and coaching that I already had done all my life that I didn't realize. And it's the perfect blend. And I didn't know I had a passion around holistic coaching with others. So I'm finishing up my certification hours now and adding that to my life. Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad to call you a radiant sister, by the way. So,
hey. And thank you for that. I mean, again, great connections. I met you. You led me to Des. It's beautiful. Everything right on time.
boom.
Yeah.
So I do want to kind of, speaking of like being in a class and group oriented stuff. So you've done both. We've done one-on-one stuff. You've been in classes and groups with me.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite part, say, about being in a group setting rather than maybe a one-on-one setting?
For me, I love not just the support of the group, because I met a lot of great people there that then we became Facebook friends, and then we've connected. And so that's led to great relationships and support, but also others' perspective. So this is really new for me, and I was going through some crazy changes, and to know others are going through that was awesome, or others' perspective on how to combine intuition to their daily lives. I saw a lot of that, and I was like, oh, I never thought of approaching it that way. You had a great pendulum class, and I learned so much, even though I'd already been using one. So it's just a great way to share learnings and resources with a group that gets you and is there for you. So the support of the group is powerful.
Yeah. So when you think about everything that we've been, kind of working through together, what was one big takeaway for you that you had when we were working together? And can you share how that's taken hold in your life?
Yeah. The biggest one for me, I remember it from our first meeting when you looked at me and you said, you know, they're telling me you already know this, but need reminded that happiness is not monetary, is not, success isn't by money. And I realized that, yeah, I was very driven by security in money. So I found out as I dug into that, I had this fear of not having security, not being enough. And all my financial insecurities were driven by fear, and I wasn't letting it flow. And I would have a target of, you know, X role by this time or this income by the time I'm 30. And all those things, I'm very driven, and I was manifesting them. They were happening, yet every time they happened, I looked for the next because it wasn't fulfilling. And I hit my financial goal, yet I was still struggling with that fear of not having enough. And so that was transformational to me. I used to do my budget every day and keep looking and tracking and everything. And now I'm like, Divine, you've got me, because I know this is my purpose. When something happens and I need a new mixer, or I need a photographer, or I need a website person, thank you for connecting me to one. It comes and I can afford it, and it supports me. And I let that control go, and I let that fear, knowing that it is enough, and it's not about the money, it's about the sole purpose. So huge. And I still struggle. Money's hard. Money,
Yeah.
it's hard. You know, I still, every once in a while, you know, my itty bitty shitty bitty comes in and says, "Oh, are you sure? Are you sure you can afford that? Are you sure you can have that?" You know, I can, and I will, and I do.
Yeah.
So huge for me, huge.
And I think, you know, being surrounded, like I'm really big on the whole who you surround yourself kind of is either going to support you or not. And
Mhm.
you've really done well with surrounding yourself with some folks that are very supportive.
Mhm.
And I do want to say, you know, just as a fellow entrepreneur, that everybody has those.
Yeah.
Money is hard. Money is
Yeah.
one of those things where you're like, oh my God. But when we think about it, it's also like the bagel.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So you might look at the bagel and be like, I can't eat the calories. The wheat may not be good for me. You know, the everything bagel may offend somebody later in the day. With the veggie cream cheese. But at the end of the day, like you said, if I'm going at things from a place of fear
Mhm.
instead of a place of love,
Yes.
things just don't feel as good. Yeah, your digestive system's going to get screwy because you're in fear.
Yep.
You know, yeah, you might overspend because you're living in fear, but those are unconscious drivers that once you make a conscious decision to change them and repurpose your habit into something that is more love based, where it's like the universe has got me. And we're not talking about going out and spending money frivolously
Right.
eating 30 bagels.
Yeah.
But if you want a new nail polish, it's okay. If you need a new mixer because you're investing
Yeah.
in
Yes.
yourself and your business, that's different than buying 4 new mixers and all the bells and whistles just because you're like, because you have to, I think the difference is learning when I'm behaving in a healthy way or I'm behaving in an unhealthy way.
Yes.
And
Leaning into
that's
love, leaning into fear. Yeah. I
right.
didn't buy the $2,000 mixer. My husband got creative with a paint mixer, and it was like $200 because we could afford it.
Yeah.
You
And
get
let me
creative.
say, your hubby is so like, he's a creative genius on so
It's,
many levels.
yeah. I
Like
love it. It's
making
great.
stuff happen that way, but like also his artistic side, amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Amazing. So you guys
So
complement each other in such a great way. I love that.
great balance. We balance each other very well, which is great because, you know, running two businesses and being very entrepreneurial, we have to support each other. It's nothing is easy by yourself, and the more support you have, the better. So I'm blessed to have such a great guy as my partner in life, my best friend. So, ooh, I could not do it without him. Trust me. Yeah. So, and then all the affirmations. That's one thing that's really helped me is you've helped me through affirmations. And one that I really liked about money in my sole purpose. Like if it's my sole purpose, I don't have to worry. So I let that go. But I always say any money, resources, or energy that I spend on healing myself or others is going to come back to me tenfold or greater so that
Yeah.
I can continue on this sole purpose. If it's aligned, it will flow. And it
I'm
does.
like, preach, girl.
Yeah.
Take us to church. Yes. I love that one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what do you feel? We talked a lot about how working together has kind of affected your life, both personal, professional, everything. But what do you feel you learned about yourself, about Bren, in the process of working together?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I learned a lot about myself. The main one though is I am woo AF. Like I had no idea. I come from a metaphysical family. My mom, my grandma, very intuitive, and I was a scientist from the get-go, from what I can remember, as far back as I can remember. And I was gonna prove it, and if I couldn't prove it, then it probably wasn't true. And my mom, she's a herbalist and very connected, and my grandma, and I was just like, I don't know what you're doing. That's weird, but that's just my weird mom, and I'm gonna be here proving things. And here now I am just like my mom, thank goodness, because I love her and everything about it. And I didn't know I had that in me. And now that it's opened up, I'm like, whoa, this is fun. I'm like, Mom, why didn't you tell me about this? I'm sure she tried and it wasn't my time to hear. And I built such a great foundation of scientific knowledge to blend with it. But that was the biggest thing. I think you asked me, do you need to talk to angels? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe if they talk to me, I don't know what that means. Laws of attraction, had no idea. Affirmations, like metaphysical. I was like, I know physical. I was great at physical science, like in school. What is metaphysical? So I didn't even know some of this terminology. And I find myself learning after the fact on these things too. Something will come and I'm very attracted to it, the word or something. And then I learn the concept and I'm like, oh, so completely transformational to find out that it's in you. And that's what I love helping others find, because they see the light on me now and I'm like, this is in you. And so I have people reading E squared and we do it together and and turning on the light in others. And that's what I think it's about. You lit me up and now I can share that with others, and then they start getting on their soul purpose and their alignment. And that's what it's about. It's awesome.
Yay! I love your story, Bren. I think it's awesome. That's why I wanted you to come on. It's also amazing that all of this, like, after our conversation, most people would think that you'd been doing your thing for like at least 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And like literally you have totally, completely changed your entire life all the way around in less than a year.
Yeah. From scientist to woo-preneur, animal communicator, just you name it. Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to come over and talk to Buddy, you can.
I know. Yeah, I'd love to. I always love to practice. And that's something else you say all the time is that really resonates with me is it's a spiritual practice, not a spiritual done. And it's a continuous cycle. And I hit my lows, but I know my high is going to be even better because I'm going through transformation. This recent week, energy was high. Stuff was resurfacing for me to deal with, but you've given me the tools to recognize my emotion and know that it's something surfacing for me to process and maybe let go of and pick a new way. Let go of something and choose a new path that's more aligned with my highest self. And those are the kind of tools that I could not have gotten here this fast without that support and those tools. So thank you.
Yay! I love it. But I also I do want to make sure that you give yourself credit because you're the one doing all the work.
Thank you.
Give you the tools, but if you're not going to pick the hammer up,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll pick the hammer up and screwdriver and the blow dryer and any tool that I need.
And the mortar and pestle, and we're going to get this stuff done.
Pendulum, the mortar, all the tools.
Woohoo! So everyone watching, if Bren's story resonates with you and you want this kind of no-nonsense spiritual transformation and motivation to help you either open up or level up in your spiritual journey, you can turn your whole life around in a year too if you want to and you want to do the work.
Man.
And start manifesting your dream life. I would welcome and invite you to check out my High Vibe Inner Circle group coaching at my website. It's soulcoachstudio.podia.com. And you can go there, and the very first thing you'll see is the High Vibe Inner Circle. And I'll put a link up here in the post when I edit that for our new, like, to include all of the web links that we're talking about today. But also, Bren, and Bren, actually, you're in there. You're in the
Yeah, I'm so excited.
If you want to talk to Bren about holistic stuff, come on in and we'll hang out together. But Bren, tell us a little bit about the business Alternative and the products you've developed under that brand for humans and their fur babies, and where folks can find you guys.
So it's called Alternative, and it's your holistic health and wellness marketplace. So we have a line of earth-based products, outdoor line, home line, skin line, pet line. I'm working on a facial line. So anything to help you on your holistic healing journey, we have it, or I'm ready to develop it. So if you're looking for something, let me know. I'm always looking for advice or ideas. I'm working on a deodorant. We just launched Doggy Fresh Dog Wash that's perfectly balanced for your pup's skin with some essential oils that help protect them from fleas and ticks and bugs. I have a big, soft spot in my heart for animals, so that'll be developing more as well. And then I'm really excited about my affirmation face line coming out that is all about self-love. That's something I think a lot of us struggle with, no matter what front we put up. Really loving yourself and owning that and your natural beauty is really important. So I'm launching a full affirmation face line. So real excited about that. So you can find us online at alter-native.shop. We're also at a lot of the local farmers market. We're very market driven, community driven. So everything's made locally here. And then we sell at the Franklin Farmers Market on Saturdays. And we just started in Nolensville on Saturdays as well. We're also at the Brentwood Farmers Market on Thursdays. And now the newest one is Berry Farms on Tuesdays. We're also in local retailers. So we partner with a lot of local retailers here. So we're down at Elia Spa down in Columbia. Great health spa if you haven't been there. We're at Healthy Natural Product Store here in Spring Hill. That's where I'm at, where all the magic happens, where I make the product. And then we're at Urban Market up in Franklin, and a lot of our local retail partners are expanding. So if you're interested, let me know, and we'll be expanding to coaching and consulting and all kinds of good stuff coming down the line. So
giving chill bumps for you. And by the way, the towns that Brenna's mentioning are here in Middle Tennessee, close to Nashville. So if you are a Middle Tennessee dweller or passing through, because Nashville is the hip place to visit, and you don't want to get on a pedal bar, you want a more holistic, fun place to hang out and find good things. All those places Bren just mentioned are great, fun places to kind of go and check out just local life here in Nashville and pick up some good, healthy things to make sure you and your pups stay really good, because you and I are fur mommies, so we bonded over like our I was like, how most people are like, here's my kid, and I'm like, here's my kid, he has 4 legs, what do yours? And you're like, mine have 4 legs too. But anyways, there you are, you're back. Oh, you went away. That's cool. Anyways, I did want to say thank you so much, Bren, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Sharing your journey and all of the wonderful things you're doing. And just sharing your wisdom about stuff and how you walk through I call it like walking through your muggle life, but embracing your spiritual side at the same time. And because when I talk about stuff, I come from the perspective of we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I say it like this: spiritual being, human experience, and we need to live this way. But most of us are living like this. And you are a wonderful example of the cohesive existence.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for getting me right here.
Aww. I'm like, I wish you were here. I'd give you a hug.
I know.
Well, I want to say to everyone else watching, thank you so much for watching. And I will be back soon with another Soul Shift story to inspire you to manifest your dream life, just like Bren. And other than that, until then, I will see you in the vortex. Thanks so much.